Hello there and welcome back. This is episode 39 of my Minecraft 1.15 Let's Play. I'm here at the control room for the orbital strike cannon that I built in my last episode. If you haven't checked that episode out yet, I highly recommend you do so. It is easily my favorite episode to date. I had a lot of fun making it, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So I've been using this orbital strike cannon to kill a bunch of ender dragons, if you hadn't noticed from the previous clip. And you'll look around, you'll see that I now have every single portal going all the way around. So that's kind of cool. Not super useful, but still pretty cool. And then I placed a bunch of water in my previous episode, and I've started cleaning that up by replacing it with glass. But I've had a bit of some end crystal explosions over here, so it's not perfect right now. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm probably going to have to fight another ender dragon at some point, because I'm going to want some more dragon's breath at some point fairly soon. So we'll be back to the end soon enough, and we'll do some more of the cleanup after all that's done. Before I get started on my next big project, I set up a potion brewery station in Creative in a live stream a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to get that started in survival so I can get it brewing potions. And I think the best place to put it would be back here. I don't need it to be super in the way. I'm not going to use it fairly often, and this would be nice and convenient because I can come and grab my nether wart right there when I need it. So I think this will work out. So let's see if we can set that up. So this brewing station right here is actually a design by Impulse SV that I have modified a little bit. His original design had a double chest right here, and it actually required there to be a double chest, and I didn't want to have to do that. I wanted to be able to use shulker boxes so I could grab them and go. So like if I'm working in the nether, I can just grab this shulker box of fire resistance potions and take it with me, and if I put another shulker box there, it'll just start filling it automatically. So I wanted to be able to do that and not have to deal with double chest, but his had a comparator out of the side of the double chest here, and so I had to do some tweaks to the design. It was actually a fairly simple design change. It just took me a little while in my live stream to figure out exactly what was going on and how I needed to do it. So I got that working, and now I've brewed up almost all of these so far. I think this is the last one it's set up, so it's still working on the water breathing here. And it's got the night vision all set up. It actually brews them pretty quick, all things considered. And I've got 3 extra slots down here for things that I'm not using yet. But I've got both potions of, we got regeneration and splash regeneration, and healing and splash healing, and then all the main potions that you would normally use. You got weakness here, fire resistance, invisibility, night vision, and water breathing, and that's all I really use. We might want, slow falling or strength or something like that. So we got a couple extra slots just in case. Here on the side of the machine, I've got a water bottle filling station. I set this up in my live stream as well. I've actually compacted it since because it was extending out a block that way, and we can actually see it working right there. It only fills 3 at a time because that's all that's required. So there's a whole chain of water bottles going all the way. Like all of these stations are filled with water bottles. It fills water bottles very, very quickly. So you only need 1 water bottle filling station for all of these breweries because it takes like 80 seconds for each potion to brew. So it can easily fill 3 bottles every 80 seconds times however many breweries you want to set up. So that works really well. I'm really happy with this. And then there's just an item elevator right here that brings the water bottles, the empty water bottles, up into this chest so that I can fill them from down here. So I got a little barrel here, this is where I'd put empty water bottles, and they would go up there. I've got a ton in there right now, so no worries there. I haven't figured out a design for this building just yet. I will figure that out in a future episode. No worries about it just yet. I just want to get the building set up and brewing some potions. And one other thing I want to do, I got these potions of weakness here. I'd like to store up a few shulker boxes over there in my breeding center. It's actually behind this building right here. So what I can do is I can actually show you how this works. If I crack this, grab this, and then put another blank one right here, it'll actually, it's got a few in the hopper back here, and then as soon as that hopper's empty, it starts brewing up some more right away. So that's pretty cool. So the next thing I'd like to do is to set myself up to get some more redstone. I set up this witch farm quite some time ago, and it has served me well, but I'm starting to outpace the amount of redstone that it can create by quite a lot. And so I'd like to see if I could get something better. One thing that I know that I can do for sure is that this farm was designed for 1.13, and in 1.14, trapdoors were made unspawnable. So I actually built the wrong version of this farm, and I didn't realize it until right after I made it. Up until then, I mean, it suited me fine for now, but, you know, I mean, now that I'd like to make it faster, one thing I can do for certain is to upgrade this to the correct farm, and I should get about twice the rates because we'll have twice as many spawning spots. The other thing I'd like to do is to tweak the storage. We've got that new shulker box loader, and I'd like to set that up there. But instead of just, you know, changing this over and tweaking that, I think I'd like to do one better than that. So I'm back on the chunkbase.com website, and I'm here at the Witch Hut Finder, and I am zoomed all the way out. And so each of these blocks is 512 blocks, and what I'm looking for is witch farms that are within 256 blocks of each other. So I'm actually looking for 2 witch farms or more that are within the same quarter of one of these blocks right here. So if we come around, these ones are actually too far away. These ones might be close enough. And if we look around, we might be able to find, I think there was another one around here somewhere. These ones probably are. So this is 13,000 blocks out, and then only 2,000 in the Z direction. That's not too bad. I wouldn't mind traveling a bit if that's what's necessary, but I'm going to look around and see if there's anything that's more suitable. Possibly 3 witch farms. Seems pretty unlikely. I think 2's probably the best I'm going to get, but we'll see what we can find. Yeah, that one's close, but probably it's right on the border, but it's actually further out, so it doesn't really matter. Let me look around and see what I can find. Alright, so this one right here, this first one that I found here, looks like it's actually going to be the most promising one. I've checked the distance, and they're about 180 blocks apart from each other. I found one that almost looked like it was 3 in a row, but they ended up being just a little bit too far away from each other. But I think this is going to be perfect. So let's go out there and take a look. So this is what, negative 14,000 and 2,500. All right, let's head out there and see what that looks like. I've decided to take the nether route out here because even in the nether, this is about 2,000 blocks that we've traveled here. So quite a distance, but it's about 15,000 or so in the overworld, so I don't want to deal with all that. So it looks like there's the witch hunt right there. Let's go over there and grab the coordinates. Hey, there's a cat here. I don't think I'm going to be bringing that one home, although maybe. So here we go. Let's go ahead and grab the coordinates here. And then let's look for the other one and see if we can find that one. I can actually see the portal from here, so that's a good sign. And the other witch hut should be behind that tree right there. So let me grab the coordinates here of this one and make sure that the distance of these is the right distance apart. And also I want to check the Y level of the floors here, and just to make sure that those are at the right level as well. So I've done the math, and these are about 200 blocks apart from each other. That's a little bit further than my initial estimate, but still well within the range that they'll still be useful. The thing is, though, that this one is actually a little bit higher. So if we look at here, we'll see we're looking at block 69. We actually want that to be, I believe, 64. So this one's at the correct level over here. So it is something like a 5% difference in the rates if you use one. Oh, man. If you use one of the ones that is at the higher range, and we're using 2, so it might be fine. So this one should be at 64, like that. So that one actually, because it's up on a hill, it got raised up a little bit, and that drops the rates a small amount. I'm going to see if I can find a better candidate. There weren't many that weren't like 20, 30,000 blocks away. So I might just end up going with this one, and it should be fine. It's just we're getting 5% less rates, technically 2.5 because, you know, we've got 2 farms here, so it should be fine, and it should be a great deal faster than what I'm dealing with now. But if I can get that extra 5% without too much extra effort, that's what I'd like to go for. These 2 right here are actually closer than the other ones, but being kitty corner like that, based on the initial math, it looks like they're about 270 blocks apart. I'd have to actually go and look at them, but it seems like there's a good chance they're going to be just a little bit too far apart from each other. Yeah, this is actually really disappointing. These things are the corner to corner, not including the witch huts themselves. They are 258 blocks away from each other. So it should be somewhere over here. You can't, there's the portal. Should be somewhere over here. They're both at the right height, but from the front to the front, they're 258 blocks away from each other. So they're just outside of the range where I'd be able to set an AFK point and have them both loaded. There's just, I can't work with it, unfortunately. This would have been a nice one. So I've come back to the first 2 witch huts that I found. There are a few other options, but they are all at least 30,000 blocks out. I'll go 30,000 blocks out if I could find a triple witch farm, but for 5% more, I just don't think it's worth it. So I'm just going to use these 2 right here. So the next thing I need to do is set up the bounding boxes of each of these 2 and then mark the coordinates, because all of this is going to get destroyed, and then find the center point, and then from there I can start preparing the area. Alright, so I've got the bounding box for this witch hut right here marked off, and these are the 3 spawning layers right here. And then I've done the same for this witch hut over here. So that one's all marked off, and I took the coordinates, and then I took the center, and that's this pillar right here. So I took the furthest block on that one, and the furthest block on that one, and the center between those is this block right here. And those are 213 blocks apart. So I've got a little bit of play, maybe 10 or 20 blocks that I can move this AFK spot like up or down or move it around or whatever. But what I can't do is move it up to the top of the world. So that means all this area around me and underneath me is going to be loaded while I'm AFKing this farm. So if there's any caves underneath me, then they will be spawning mobs and eating into my efficiency unless I do something about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a perimeter. I'm just going to destroy all the area, everything around here, just build a giant crater using Ilmango's World Eater. Now, Ilmango's World Eater, each section is 6 blocks wide, just like the one I used in the Nether. So I'm going to use the same basic size of a perimeter that I used in the Nether of 288 blocks. It needs to be at least 256, and it needs to be divisible by 6. And 288 is also divisible by 16. So that means I can put it on chunk borders. Just makes aligning everything a little bit easier, and it's not that much harder to make it a few extra blocks wider. So it's not really a big deal. So this is the center right here, and this is the closest intersection of 4 chunks. So chunk borders, here we are, intersection of 4 chunks. And then I've come out 9 chunks in every direction and marked everything off, and we got all our corners marked off. There's one on top of this mountain right there, and then there's a side there and a corner over there, and unfortunately one of these corners is in an ocean. So in order to set all this up, we're going to have to do quite a bit of prep work, and that's going to include removing quite a bit of water in this ocean here, unfortunately. Well, that was a pretty grindy task. Unfortunately, the replay for this section right here, this was the section that took me the longest because it's so deep and so wide over here. This replay actually ended up getting corrupted, and it's actually because it was such a long replay, that's why it got corrupted. But that's also why I did it first. I wanted to get this hardest section out of the way first, but now that it's done, we've got this perimeter going. We got the start of it at least, so what we're going to need to do, these are the sections that need to be cleared out for the World Eater. They need to be cleared out all the way down to bedrock. So the next thing I need to do is come through with some TNT machines to blow these out all the way down to bedrock. So what I've done here is I've actually made these sections a little bit bigger than they need to be. They need to be 15 blocks on the end and 3 blocks on the side. And it's actually like 7 blocks on this side and like 20 blocks on the end. And I've added the extra anvils. I don't know how well these are going to work because the anvils are actually going to fall, as if you blow up a block underneath the anvil, it's obviously going to fall. So I'm going to try and place the TNT so it's a few blocks in, so that hopefully, you know, this is just kind of to protect the sand behind it from getting blown up. And I haven't placed them on the inside wall. And hopefully I don't need to, because if I place TNT on these walls, I'm going to have to remove them. And if they start falling down, it's going to take quite a lot of work to actually go through and remove them. So I'm going to do a test run on one of these walls and see how well it does, and see if we can avoid blowing up these walls if I've got a big enough gap on the side. So I think I'm going to start with this one right here. Alright, so I had to build this one a little bit high because I got to blow up this mountain here too. So I'm going to have to build another one that's lower if I ever want to get down to the bedrock layer. But this should be a good start, and it should tell me how much damage this is going to do. There we go. Looking good so far. So what we're looking at is how much damage does it do against this border wall over here. Let's wait for it to get down there. Yeah, it's doing quite a lot, so... That is a lot of damage. That's going to be a problem. It's even knocking... Okay, let's turn this off and see if we can... I might have to move it over a block and then see how that does. Yeah, so the anvils basically did not work at all. That's unfortunate. Alright, let's try some small scale tests. I should have done this probably in the first place, but so this is basically where I was blowing it up right there. So if I blow this up, we should have a pretty good amount of damage to everything around it, including the wall. Yeah, that's going to be a problem, especially on these sides right here where there's not much I can do. It blew up the wall pretty much completely, didn't it? I wonder if this here will fare any better. Stone doesn't have the same blast resistance as anvils, but it also doesn't fall. And it should only blow up like 1 block every time it comes through. Let's see what happens here. And we're just looking for it to protect the sand there. That looked pretty good. The problem is that the next TNT block is going to come right around here probably. I mean, they're pretty close to each other. So let's see if that can hold up as well. Or if we start seeing damage. We start seeing quite a lot of damage. I might have to clear out more space around these things. I'm not sure. I guess another option would be to place stone outside of the sand walls. In most places the water isn't actually that deep, so this would actually be a pretty manageable task. A little bit of a pain, but not too bad. So let's see how this fares with like a rapid succession of explosions. Probably like 2 apart, something like that. Let's see how this does. Let's light it from this side. That actually fares pretty well. That might actually work. There might be some points where I need to make sure any sand that's there gets taken out or something like that. Other than that, I think this might actually be the route I need to go with, unfortunately. Alright, let's see if this fares any better now. Let's turn this guy on, and then hopefully the stone along the side should make this go a little bit better. That's not a great sign. We can fix that. So mostly we're just looking, you know, like if it springs a few leaks, it's not a big deal. We just need to make sure that a lot of water doesn't pour out. We're going to expect as we dig deeper and deeper, we're going to hit some water and stuff like that. going to have to repair leaks. As long as it doesn't happen too often, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. We're losing some data here, unfortunately, because we've already blown out the part that's around the water. But it does seem to be working at least a little bit better. It's not really hitting into the wall here. So I think this is going to work. Alright, it's going to take me some time to set up the stone on all the other borders here. I was hoping to get all the blasting done in this episode, but I've run out of time in this episode, so I can just set up the stone between episodes and we can start out the next episode with a bang. Oh, and if you are ever doing anything like this in your own world, I recommend you just skip the step with the sand and just build stone on the borders. Hopefully you're just dealing with a swamp so it's not too deep and you don't have like an ocean like I did, but you know, even if you did, like, the sand just doesn't provide any level of protection. And I used 2 blocks of padding, so we got the border here is 2 blocks. We got 2 blocks extra here, and apparently you need 3, so I would do that initially as well. So 3 blocks out from both your borders, place stone instead of sand. That'll probably help a lot, save you some time. So I want to leave you with something fun here. Someone in my Discord was asking about how the orbital strike cannon worked, and it turns out that it works by making the arrow go super duper fast, and the damage is based on that. And so at the end of the Fallen Breast video, which I will link again in the description, he shows all the damage calculations and everything like that. But there's something I missed, and that it's not only can this thing kill a player, under the right conditions, it can kill any player, provided they don't have a totem of undying, but any player. So I've got a full set of projectile protection armor. I've got a shield here, and I've got an apple. And I've got my spectator account up there, and provided they use a power 5 bow and shoot 3 arrows down in there, that none of this should be able to stop me from dying here. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. Make sure, oh, we got to shoot the arrows from the account up here. That's 1 arrow, 2 arrows, 3 arrows set up. And if I go ahead and fire, and oops, I'm not using the shield. Man, that is so awesome. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good one. Oh my God, I just picked this armor back up, and look how much, this was fresh armor. It took that much damage. That is ridiculous. You all have a good one.